With all the aviation incidents in the news lately, I thought it might be helpful to examine the industry as a whole, looking at the different parts to see how they work together or don't work together. This will be a 3 or 4 part series in an attempt to keep the videos down to a manageable time frame. The focus of this video is an incident that occurred in 1979, the crash of American Airlines Flight 191. It departed Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. The crash resulted in the death of 271 crew and passengers, 2 people on the ground, and 2 people on the ground were injured. That's 273 fatalities in total. This is the worst single-plane disaster in American commercial aviation history. The History Channel produced a documentary covering the crash and the events that followed. I'll put a link to the documentary in the description and any other sources that I reference. I created a timeline from the History Channel's video, and it highlights the dates and the interval from the initial event. I'll only be airing portions of that timeline in this video. I do encourage you to watch the full documentary produced by the History Channel. It's only about an hour long. Without further ado, let's see what happened to Flight 191 and how the industrial complex leapt into action.
Flight 191 just wasn't another story.
Flight 191 plunged to the ground 4,600 feet from the end of the runway.
From this image, you can clearly see the number 1 engine has departed the aircraft and fluids pouring from the left wing. We'll talk about how this happened and the events leading up to this tragedy in the next video.
Within 24 hours, letters were written to the victims' families, and each letter basically said the same thing. We want to share our sympathy. We lost people too. We're going to take care of everything for you. Don't hire an attorney.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Full disclosure, I am an attorney. Don't hold it against me. But if you've ever struggled in trying to identify a defining moment and you hear the words, "We'll take care of everything, don't hire an attorney," this is it. The exact moment you know you need an attorney. You'll understand why later.
Within 72 hours of the crash of Flight 191, executives at American Airlines received a check from their insurance company for nearly $15 million to cover the loss of the DC-10.
Within 3 days, the insurance company paid the airline $15 million. Have you ever seen an insurance company work so quickly? The cause of the accident hasn't even been determined yet.
Meanwhile, on the 28th of May 1979, the FAA ordered a fleet-wide inspection on all DC-10 pylon attachment bolts. Another internal investigation was also being conducted at American Airlines. Donald Lloyd Jones, American's Senior Vice President of Operations, ordered a report on the airline's maintenance practices, including those used on the crashed DC-10.
The report that was asked for by Donald Lloyd Jones at American Airlines was done by a man named Mac Eastburn.
What happened to the Eastburn report became one of the most explosively controversial aspects of the entire investigation. Almost 36 hours had passed since Senior Vice President of Operations Donald Lloyd Jones ordered the internal investigation into the maintenance history of Flight 191. He read the written report of the investigation, called the Eastburn Report, and was shocked by its contents.
The report was so potentially devastating to American Airlines that on advice of the attorneys, American Airlines shredded the report.
12 days after the crash of Flight 191, the FAA took the unprecedented step of grounding the entire fleet of DC-10s in America, a total of 138 planes. 36 days after the DC-10 was grounded, all the cracks in the damaged aircraft were repaired, and the faulty maintenance procedures halted. The FAA lifted its ban, and the DC-10 took to the air once again. Nearly 7 months after the worst single-plane disaster in U.S. aviation history, the crash of Flight 191 at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, the National Transportation Safety Board released its final report on the accident. Almost 2 years after the crash of Flight 191, Earl Russell Marshall, one of the American Airlines maintenance personnel subpoenaed by McDonnell Douglas in their dispute with American over who would pay the bulk of the wrongful death settlements, was scheduled to give his deposition in the case the following day.
His wife finds this guy slumped in his car in their garage, dead at the wheel. The coroner ruled it as carbon monoxide poisoning, suicide. Ironically, it was that point that motivated American Airlines to then call the McDonnell Douglas lawyers and say, okay, let's now share liability in these cases.
McDonnell Douglas then ceased its pressure to see what was in the Eastburn report, and the whole issue was quietly dropped. Its specific contents are still secret.
It's unclear why he felt the need to end his life. I'm not privy to the facts, only what is portrayed in the documentary. If the events in the documentary are accurate, this is one more victim of Flight 191.
The law cases that related to the crash of all the victims' families went on for over 9 years.
The last segment should give you no pause in hiring an attorney. Within 3 days, the insurance company paid the airline $15 million. Have you ever seen an insurance company work so quickly? The cause of the accident hasn't even been determined yet. It took the victims' families 9+ years to get a settlement. This is why you need an attorney. The crash of Flight 191 took the lives of 273 people and injured 2 others. This was 45 years ago, and it doesn't look like we've learned from our mistakes.
At last. I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole? You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Follow me down the rabbit hole in my next video, where we will take a closer look at what caused the crash. We'll examine the final reports of the NTSB and the FAA, where we will discover discrepancy between those reports. We'll ask the question, does this discrepancy hold any significance? As always, like, subscribe, hit the notification. Thanks for watching. Peace out.